Alright, looks like we are ready to begin. Let's see. Yes, we are ready to begin. Perfect. Alright, there we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once again. What a sad day, because this is the last day. I'm so sad whenever this happens. This is the last day of the Ultimate PC Game Collection Tour, in this case of 2023. I am so sad when this day arrives every year. Yeah, this is the last row that we have to explore right here. And yes, it's always a sad day when this happens, but well, it eventually happens. Don't worry, we have plenty of content in the future, and well, I hope you all had a happy week. I hope this is a happy Thursday for all of you. But well, it will certainly be for us here at the channel, because we'll explore some amazing genres. The tower defense genre right here, the inverted tower defense genre, which is a variation, third person tower defense, another variation of the tower defense genre. Then we have card games, basically, and last but not least, beat 'em ups and shoot 'em ups. As I mentioned last time, here I have the most arcade section of my collection. But yeah, pretty much I always feel sad when we arrive to the last row, because of how amazing this yearly showcase is. But well, don't worry. We have plenty of games to analyze, so we will find enjoyment in other things. But well, for now, it's the last day of the Ultimate PC Game Collection Tour of 2023. So, let's not waste any time. Today there will be no intro, because this one will be a bit longer than the others, because I have to cover special cases. The special cases that you see up there. And yes, pretty much. Let us begin. We begin with tower defense, ladies and gentlemen, because then otherwise we'll run out of time, and I don't want this to extend beyond the 3 hours, because it's already a lot, and yeah, pretty much. We begin with tower defense, and we begin with pretty much the main story of how this genre was born, which takes us back to the legendary Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos. As I always say, this game is probably the most important RTS of all time, because it single-handedly created two more genres, pretty much, and it popularized a third one. The one it popularized, of course, MMORPGs with World of Warcraft, and the two genres that it pretty much created, it actually didn't create it, because there was the other genre is the MOBA genre. As you can see here, Defense of the Ancients 2, it's a mod from Defense of the Ancients 1. We explained this when we explored the second row. And yes, pretty much, while it didn't create the MOBA genre, there was an old school StarCraft map from the original StarCraft that actually created it. Defense of the Ancients 1 is the one that actually popularized it. The other genre that it pretty much also popularized and created, we can say it created it, because the genre wasn't standalone at this point. The same goes for MOBA. They existed, the genres existed, but they weren't standalone genres. They were kind of like mods or expansions of the base games, which were RTS games, pretty much. The other genre, as you can see, it's the tower defense genre. Warcraft 3 is responsible for thousands of tower defense mods. In this case, I think it did create the genre actually, because one of the levels in the original Warcraft 3, I think it was in actually in Frozen Throne, that you have to save the population of a village that is under the attack of the undead or something like that. I can't remember precisely, but it's one of the last levels of Frozen Throne, which is basically a tower defense level in which you don't have it was completely different because you didn't have control over base building or anything like that, and it was pretty much you pretty much used the defensive structures of Warcraft 3, the defense towers. Just imagine as if in Age of Empires 2, just to use another reference, you just use the guard towers to create a tower defense game. Well, from all of those mods, from all of those thousands or dozens, let's say dozens of mods, of tower defense mods of Warcraft 3. Element Tower Defense was one of them. It was a mod, which then turned into a standalone game that you see here, independently developed, called Element Tower Defense, the same name. So yeah, pretty much this one needs to be here because it's the birth of the tower defense genre, and pretty much it reflects the connection between the tower defense genre and Warcraft 3, because this, at the end of the day, it's a mod derived from the gameplay mechanics present in Warcraft 3. So yeah, pretty much. It recently had a sequel called Element Tower Defense 2. I remember the icon was not good, so I created this custom cover. And yeah, pretty much these are hardcore classic tower defense games, pretty similar to Warcraft 3, but they're standalone, their own thing. So yeah, pretty much. I recently discovered that there was a sequel to Element Tower Defense, that was recently released, as I've said. So yes, a pretty amazing genre, the tower defense genre. Uh, Certainly, if you like RTS games or MOBAs, you'll probably like it because it's it's a variation at some point of those genres, right? So you'll probably love it. The classic. It's incredible how Blizzard not only created the classic hero system for RTS games, but how Warcraft 3 also spawned these three genres that I mentioned. Either revolutionizing existing ones or creating new ones, Warcraft 3 is an important part of gaming history, and here we can see it in these two games. Similar to those, here we have Tower Wars. You shouldn't underestimate this game because this is I think this is the latest tower defense that I've added to the collection. It was an absolute surprise. I never expected it to be so good. Pretty amazing graphics, pretty amazing everything, pretty much. Not only graphics, but the gameplay mechanics, the fact that it runs at unlocked frame rates and resolutions, a game from the early 2000s. I mean, maybe not the early 2000s, but from the before 2010, I remember. And this one flew under my radar 100%. And it's amazing. I've tried it and it's amazing. I need to showcase it actually because this game is completely amazing. It's a smooth, it has a nice storyline, everything. So amazing, amazing. This one is a classic from the 7th generation. This one is also on the Xbox 360, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's on the Xbox 360 through Xbox Live Arcade. This one is Defense Grid: The Awakening. This is pretty much the game responsible for kind of like reviving tower defense in modern systems, if you know what I mean. It's like the new Super Mario Bros. Of the tower defense genre. Remember, just like we explained last time in while we covered 2D platforming, that new Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo DS um, revived the 2D platforming genre. Defense Grid, The Awakening, is also responsible for modernly reviving the tower defense genre, let's say, for making it popular. Um, this game is amazing. It's pretty hard. It has an expansion, everything. Um, it's playable at modern resolutions and frame rates on PC, so it's an amazing game. It's a classic that you need to play. It's a must play for fans of the tower defense genre. Pretty much. This one is Defense Grid 2. Defense Grid 2, the sequel, pretty much, also available on the Xbox 360. It fixes everything this game. Let's say it didn't do anything wrong because it's an amazing game. It's a cult classic. But this one improves everything, pretty much. These games must be played 100%. The same could be said. The same could be said about this one, Defense Technica. This one I haven't tried it, but it's also a classic from 2009, if I remember correctly. We're talking about 2007, 2008, 2009 here. So Defense Technica, it's another great recommendation in case you're looking for a good classic tower defense game. These are all much better than any mobile tower defense game that you could possibly ever stumble upon. We are talking about classic tower defense games which weren't related to the ugly mobile tower defense games that we see nowadays. Back then, this genre was respected. It had a much bigger budget behind it, and these are all classics that, trust me, you'll recognize the quality as soon as you play it. Sentinel 3 Homeworld. I actually showcased this game on stream, and I actually played it several times on Android. And this one is the exception. This one is certainly the exception to the rule that we established 3 seconds ago, because this one is a tower defense game, a mobile tower defense game from that was released on Android and iOS after Sentinel 1 and 2 that were exclusive to the first iPhone. This one is the exception. This one, we are talking about probably the best. This one is my personal favorite. It's not the best, but it's my personal favorite because of how fresh it feels, because of the story and everything. This one feels completely fresh. As I've said, you can watch the complete walkthrough on my channel. This one is my personal favorite because it was it's the first tower defense that I played, pretty much, except for the Warcraft 3 mod, of course, that one. I mean, not the mod, the level, the campaign level. So yeah, Sentinel 3 Homeworld, it's a must play. You won't think it's a mobile game at all. A lot of games from the original iPhone had console quality. You just need to be an expert and kind of like tell which is the period of time in which developers tried to push console-like quality graphics and gameplay mechanics on mobile. There was a period of time, as I've said, but let's leave that for another day because it's a discussion that I want to cover when we do the ultimate Android gaming collection tour, right? So yeah, pretty much. Sentinel 4 Dark Star, the sequel. This one, it's a modern release, but since it pretty much is the successor of Sentinel 3. It retains all of its incredible features, though this one is from a much more recent period of time. So yeah, pretty much you must play Sentinel 3 and 4. Origin 8 is the developer. It's an Android developer, but these two games they were extremely talented when they created them. They had a lot of talent clearly when they created these games. It's a shame that I could never play Sentinel 1 and 2 because they were exclusive to the original iPhone, and I never had that one, so yeah, pretty much. So it would be amazing if we could have on PC kind of like the Ultimate Sentinel collection 1, 2, 3, and 4 re-released with HD graphics and all of the updates and expansions, right? So if we could have that, the Ultimate Sentinel collection, an idea for Origin 8, that would sell pretty good. I don't know why they don't do that. Plants vs Zombies is a classic. The PC port works perfectly, in case you're wondering. Yeah, this is Plants vs Zombies. Everyone knows what's it about. I have Plants vs Zombies 2 on my Android phone, so yeah, pretty much. This one is the classic. Ooh, this one is a surprise. Total War Battles Shogun. I played this game actually completely as well. This is an inverted tower defense game. This is something that few people know, that there's a huge distinction between the classic tower defense genre and this one, which is one of its subgenres, which is the inverted tower defense genre or subgenre. Yeah, it's a subgenre. The idea here is like it's an emulation of a tag of war, if you know what I mean. Not only you have to defend your base from incoming attacks, but you also need to send your own minions, just like in a tower defense game. Imagine you were the let's say the dungeon master sending the demons. Let's say in this case it's the CPU, but well, in this one it's an official Creative Assembly developed game published by Sega on Android phones, but it's on PC. It works perfectly, this port, and it's amazing. It has a lot of levels. It has a story. This game has a story. This game is pretty much the best inverted tower defense you'll ever stumble upon. It has a pretty nice Japanese story with all of the samurais and everything, and the shoguns, and it's pretty well done. And yeah, pretty much this one also has base building. It has light base building elements, believe it or not, that you can use to produce your troops and to gather resources, just like an RTS, and beat your enemy in a tag of war. And on Android it's also amazing because you can give with just one phone, the other person can also play, kind of like you can play against a person with a single phone. It's amazing. Get this game either on Android or PC, because this game, it's amazing. And believe it or not, all of these games are exclusive to Android and PC. Most of them. They were never released on consoles except for Defense 3. So yeah, and also Plants vs Zombies in the case of the Nintendo DS. Yeah, the Nintendo DS. The Element Tower Defense, no, they are PC exclusives. That's why they are there. They are the most important ones. The other one that could compete against Total War Battles Shogun, which is an inverted tower defense game as well, is Anomaly Defenders. The Anomaly series, it's a legendary series, also from the first iPhone, pretty much the competitor of Sentinel 3 as well. A lot of people will argue that this is the best inverted tower defense. I would give it to Total War Battles Shogun, but I admit it's a close call. Both of them are excellent games. So yeah, pretty much here you not only stop enemy units, but you also have to overwhelm the enemy. So yes, pretty much this is uh, the other competitor of the inverted tower defense genre or subgenre. It's also on Android, so you can grab it there as well. I have it here on PC because it's much more comfortable using the mouse and having a big screen and playing them on a big screen, pretty much. All of them can be played at modern resolutions and frame rates, so they were pretty well developed, I must say, because originally all of these games consider that they were developed for the first iPhone and Android. What Android 2. Yeah, Android 2 and Android 1, pretty much. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's amazing that we got these PC ports where they can be preserved forever. Anomaly Defenders, Anomaly Warzone Earth, pretty much the sequel. Anomaly Korea, and then Anomaly 2, which is amazing. This one is amazing. It's the sequel of the first Anomaly instead of an expansion, and it's pretty much amazing. Prime World Defenders. Few people know about this game. The Prime World franchise, let's say. And yeah. It's an amazing game that you should all play. It works on PC, believe it or not. This one is also an Android game, as I've said. It was also on Android. So yeah, pretty much here you have a lot of classic Android games from this. If you grab Android games from this period of time, from this specific period of time, you'll see that they have a lot of quality. They have but a lot of quality, and yes, pretty much. They have an immense amount of quality. Believe it or not, I know that a lot of people won't trust what I'm saying and probably think that I'm stupid, but no, trust me. Android development and iPhone development, iOS in that case, back in 2008, 2009, 2010, they were trying to replicate the experience of a console of the PS3 and the Xbox 360 on Android and iOS phones. So there are a lot of console quality games uh, from that era. Trust me. It's a pretty long story, but that's pretty much the main idea. Uh, it's totally different when compared to what we get nowadays because of stupid consumers at the end of the day. Because now we get a billion mobile games flooded with microtransactions and shit, and simply they don't have the quality of the gameplay mechanics that games had, that Android and iOS phones games had back in the day. It's completely different. Don't compare these games to what you may stumble upon nowadays. That's the idea. We'll cover all of this in a future Android collection. If the Ultimate Nintendo 3DS showcase eventually is successful, we'll eventually um, do an Android showcase collection. So yeah, pretty much. This one isn't an Android game. This one is a pure PC exclusive. It's a pure PC tower defense exclusive. Hero Defense Haunted Island. Play this game on Halloween because it has a lot of themes about Halloween, and this game is amazing. It pretty much uses urban legends, kind of like vampires or Frankenstein or things that you would stumble upon in Halloween, and it combines them with magic and defending this mysterious island with the classic hero system from Blizzard. So yes, 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 yes. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's not like an RTS in the sense that you won't be controlling a hero. It's a classic tower defense, but yes, you control your hero and he will aid you in your quest against the monsters. Defense Task Force. This one is also a pure PC tower defense game. I need to try it. It has amazing quality, double A quality. Yet another tower defense. This one is also extremely famous, double A quality on Steam. Uh, Defense Task Force and yet another tower defense. This one, despite the name, it's amazing. They just couldn't come up with a good name, but the game is amazing. They just called it yet another tower defense, believe it or not. But it's amazing. It's amazing. The title, they should have chosen a different title because it makes you believe that the game is generic and it's not. It's amazing. It was probably done on purpose, but well. Swords and Soldiers 2. Haven't tried it. It's between indie and double A quality, if I remember correctly. Mars Rising. These are all PC exclusive tower defense games. Double A quality. This one is indie quality. Iron Marines. The same could be said about Iron Heart. These are all mobile. This one not. This one is PC exclusive. This one is PC exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. These ones are also available on Android. I'm not sure about Iron Heart, but well, but yeah, pretty much. Defense Task Force, yet another tower defense. They have a lot of quality. I would also highlight Mars Rising. I played it a bit, and it's amazing. Double A qualities. Yeah. Iron Heart, I think, it also looked pretty good, but well, whatever. It has nothing to do with this one. Just in case you are wondering, just it's not the sequel. It's just there because yes, they look similar, but it has nothing to do with the other one. They are billions. They are billions. Well, we went from 0 to 100. This game you need to play it. It's a classic right now. By now it's a classic. Sorry, by now this game is a classic. PC exclusive. You defend your base against the zombies. Everyone has played their billions at this point, but this game is amazing. It should have been Game of the Year, PC Game of the Year at least. Um, this one mixes tower defense with base building mechanics. It's amazing. It's incredible. This one is a must play 100%. You need to play this game. Whatever you do, you need to play. Just like I said, that you need to play Element Tower Defense, Tower Wars, Defense Grid, Defense Technica, and Sentinel, and Anomaly and Total War Battles Shogun. They are billions. Needs to be played. You have to play it if you want to comprehend the most modern incarnation of the tower defense genre on PC, pretty much. The Rift Breaker, arguably as important as they are billions. This game is amazing as well. We're talking about AA to AAA tower defense quality. These are PC exclusives. 100% recommended the Rift Breaker. It has pretty good graphics. You control a robot. Amazing mechanics. Siege of Centauri, also PC exclusive, a tower defense PC exclusive that you can also try. And yeah, pretty much I need to try some of these. For example, this one I haven't played. Field Runners, well, this is a classic. You also have it on Android and the Nintendo DS. This one is extremely old. Up to this point, these three are PC exclusives as far as I'm aware. But this one is also available on Android and as I've said, the Nintendo DS. Field Runners 2, Evil Defenders, Kingdom Rush Origins, Kingdom Rush Vengeance, Kingdom Rush, Legends of Kingdom Rush. These are all mobile. games that you can also find on Android. Revenge of the Titans, no, this one is a PC game. Space Run is also a PC game. These are all tower defense games, but be careful with Space Run because this one is kind of like a ship, kind of like which doesn't move. You just place cannons around it, and you have to deliver the goods. Pretty solid, pretty solid, pretty solid. Then it had this one, which is Space Run Galaxy, which is much better. And yes, pretty much it's kind of like just your ship, and you add cannons to the edges of it, and that way you do the deliveries. Pretty original concept. If you're looking for something new in the tower defense genre, this one is probably a good choice. Thor. This one is a 360-degree tower defense. Instead of being attacked from a predefined path, this one you simply have a tower in the center and you have to shoot with a laser in 360 degrees to kill the enemies, and yeah, pretty amazing. It's a pretty well done, pretty well executed concept. Wizards, Wand of Efficacy. Haven't tried this one. I've seen some images, but nothing nothing to highlight. I remember it being decent. Colony Siege, same story. Iron Guard, so many of them with Iron Marines, Iron Heart, Iron Guard. But Iron Guard, I remember it was different. It was pretty good. I remember it had a lot of quality, and yes, pretty much this one you want to play it. The same goes for this one. These ones are the most modern classic tower defense games that have been released. So yes, I would still recommend Thor, Iron Guard, and 2112 Tower Defense Survival. Alright, so if you want the most modern PC tower defense games, grab Iron Guard and this one. So yeah, you won't regret grabbing them. Also Thor, and yeah, pretty much, yeah, Space Run. I would grab it if you're looking for something different, but well, whatever. But just play the classics that I mentioned. Yes, that do so, please. If you like the genre, here I gave you plenty of options to choose from, but especially Element Tower Defense, Tower Wars, Defense Grid, Defense Technica, Sentinel 3, Plants vs Zombies, of course, Total War Battles Shogun, Anomaly, all of the Anomaly games, Prime World Defenders, Hero Defense Haunted Island, Defense Task Force, yet another tower defense, don't underestimate this one just because of the silly name, Mars Rising, They Are Billions, The Riftbreaker, Siege of Centauri, these ones you can skip because they are Android games, Thor, and Iron Guard, and this one, and 2112 tower defense. Pretty much that's the line of thought that you need to follow if you want to explore everything, all of the gameplay mechanics that the tower defense genre has to offer, pretty much. So yes, there you have plenty to choose from, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a genre that the tower defense genre is a genre that people mostly nowadays, because of the mobile phone craze, it's a genre that is restricted to mobile phones, or at least in people's head, it's kind of like placed there, kind of like when they think about tower defense, doesn't it happen to you? You think about a mobile game, and that's not true. There are a lot of PC developed and PC focused tower defense games. As I've said, the genre was born with PC in mind, way before mobile phones existed. So yes, pretty much. And here you have the more or less a comprehensive history of the tower defense genre in half an hour. So pretty much you have the idea derived from Warcraft 3, everything. So yeah, pretty much. Then you also have the idea of the inverted tower defense variation, and here we will have to take a look at something different with Death Trap. In the case of Death Trap, which is a game developed by Neocore Games, a company that you should know all too well because they are the developers of the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, the incredible game, the incredible trilogy of games that we showcased. We didn't showcase it. That I mentioned in the first part of the showcase. They also developed Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr, an online-only Diablo clone, an isometric action RPG, pretty good. Let's hope one day we can reverse engineer it. And they also developed a real-time tactics game called King Arthur 1 and 2. The first one is unplayable. There I have King Arthur 2. Neocore Games. It's a AA developer, and they also released this forgotten game using the engine of the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. Death Trap, if you like the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, this game uses the same engine, it's from the same company, so you'll feel right at home. And in this one, Van Helsing and the rest of and some other heroes, I think you can only use Van Helsing. Well, it's a tower defense game using Van Helsing, so it's amazing because it grabs all of the amazing isometric action RPG mechanics from the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing trilogy. This one has, we could say, AA to AAA quality for a tower defense game. It has much better graphics than anything that I've described before. I think it was also released on the PS4 or something like that, but at this point it only survived on PC. I'm not sure if it's a PC exclusive or if it was also released for the PS4 at least. But yes, pretty much it's a point and click game, so it's best played on PC. So it's like playing an isometric action RPG like Diablo with tower defense mechanics. So I would say that this one, you should respect this game. This one is not on Android, of course. And you should respect this game, what it created. You control a hero. That's why I have it here, because it's actually a much more classic game. Because it's a different subgenre. This is well, this one is not third person, but this variation that I have here, these are all, from this one on, they are all tower defense games in which you control at least one individual unit, instead of simply placing your defenses in the map. In this one you control a unit, just like you would in an isometric action RPG, just like you would in a real-time strategy game. In any of those, just like you would in any of those, in Death Trap you control Van Helsing. And if you control a character, the tower defense genre is completely different. For example, in Sentinel 3, you actually control yourself. You actually have a Sentinel, but you don't control it. You can just make it jump and activate some abilities, but you cannot point and click, cannot actively point and click like you would in an RTS or an isometric action RPG. If you get what I mean. In this one, you control units, at least one unit. For example, something similar to what happens here. But this one is an inverted tower defense game, so it's completely different. This one is in 3D. A lot of these games are in 3D. I forgot to mention. Don't think they are just 2D games. For example, Hero Defense is in 3D. Prime World Defenders, Anomaly, Total War Battle Shogun, Sentinel, no, Sentinel is in 2D. Defense Technica, Defense Grid, Tower Wars, Element Tower Defense, they are all in 3D. They are billions, of course, the Reef Breaker. They are all in 3D, just so you have an idea. So yeah, Death Trap, you are controlling Van Helsing. So this one I would highly recommend it, especially if you like isometric action RPGs like Diablo, like The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. If you like RTS games, this one was made for you. Exmorph Defense, something similar here. Instead of, you'll see that there will be a huge variation. That's why I have these two games here. They are pretty much unique. This one is also a tower defense. These games are amazing. They are the top of the genre, the best games of the genre. Exmorph Defense allows you to control a ship with a joystick. This one is played with a joystick. For example, in the Rift Breaker, you also control units, or they are billions. But they are classic tower defense games. In these ones, kind of like the importance of the unit that you control is much greater. That's the key difference. In this one, you control with your joystick a ship that can actually shoot missiles, just like in any shoot 'em up game. So it's a crossover between a shoot 'em up and a tower defense game, which makes this game pretty unique. And you also control the camera with the sticks, so you can also place your defenses, and it's pretty much the same story as Death Trap because it's unique. This one, it's a crossover between isometric action RPG and tower defense, and this one is a crossover between shoot 'em up and tower defense, which makes both of these games completely unique. Believe it or not, they are unique and the best of the genre. Amazing graphics, of course, both of them, and that's why I have them here. Highly recommended. Alongside, as I've said, the Arbillions and the Rift Breaker. These ones also allow you to control the units. They are also in 3D, and it's also important to use your units. But the thing is that they have a much more classic approach to the tower defense genre. In the case of these ones, the unit that you control can at some point be as not more important than your defenses, but as important as your defenses. That's the idea. And probably the best tower defense ever created, the one that should be the example to any other tower defense game. I have no doubts about it. Maybe someone wants to argue, but Orcs Must Die is the best tower defense game ever created. The best franchise of this genre ever created by Robot Entertainment, as I mentioned. The team that regrouped after the closure of gas-powered games. After gas-powered games was closed, they created Robot Entertainment, and as I've said, they created things like Eco Prime here, a 2D run and gun game, and also, what could we say about gas-powered games? They created the Supreme Commander series. So yes, pretty much. What could we say about them? They also created Age of Empires Online, which is nowadays also supported. It's still alive, not through Robot Entertainment, but through Project Celeste, run by the community. So yeah, they were masters of real-time strategy, let's say, and all of that translated into this amazing game that it's extremely hard. I beat this game not on Nightmare because I'm still working on Nightmare difficulty. Nightmare difficulty is beyond anything. It works at 140 refresh rate, modern resolutions, but not only that, Orcs Must Die is probably the tower defense game that I've played the most in my life. The first one, I've also completed the second one and the third one, but this one, this game is the best. You need to play this game. It's also on the Xbox 360 if you want, but the PC version is the definitive version with the expansion and everything. This game should be famous. This franchise is legendary. I don't know why more people don't know about it. This game is the best tower defense game ever created. Um, it's in 3D. It's completely in 3D. You control the apprentice of a mage, who the master pretty much dies right at the beginning. So you're left alone against endless waves of orcs and ogres and everything and cyclops, and it's pretty much amazing. It also has, you can use melee weapons, ranged weapons. You can use all sorts of incredibly design of the degree of ingenuity uh, that this game has is a staggering. Uh, Amazing, amazing. You also need to have pretty good. It's like a it uses a third person camera, so in that sense, it's like a third person shooter. But you also have melee attacks. You also have to use magical powers. You need to use fire, wind, and everything to kill the orcs. This game requires a high amount of skill and APM. It's a huge adventure that you need to play. I cannot stress it enough. Orcs Must Die is the best tower defense ever that will probably ever be created of all time. The game is amazing, and you need to play it. It's completely amazing, completely amazing. The best tower defense ever created. This one should have been Game of the Year. Uh, but well, sadly, I think it's the same year Pokemon Heart Gold was released and God of War 3. I think it was 2010, yeah, or 2011, something like that. Well, Orcs Must Die 2, I also completed this one. Amazing as well. What could I say about it? It improves everything that the first one created. It builds upon all of the great gameplay mechanics that this one created. In my heart, the one that has a special place is the first one. For me, it's the best one because it created this magnificent formula that I'm curious as to why it hasn't been replicated with the same degree of success. There's a game that we'll see soon enough, but Orcs Must Die is the best tower defense franchise of all time. Orcs Must Die Unchained. Now you must be wondering, what's this? This game, believe it or not, it's a reversed engineered version of Orcs Must Die Unchained. What happened? After Orcs Must Die 2, which was a success, it was a huge success. It gave Robot Entertainment a lot of money in comparison to the first one. After that, after Orcs Must Die 2, they got a lot of money and they tried creating an online only Orcs Must Die experience, and it was like that, and it worked for a limited period of time. But at the end of the day, the same fate that awaits all online only games, sadly. That's why I reverse engineer games. The servers were shut down and the game was unplayable. What a disaster. See, that's why it should be illegal to sell online only games. But then, thanks to the community, Orcs Must Die Unchained, which is basically Orcs Must Die, the real Orcs Must Die 3, was reverse engineered by the community. This is this version that you see right here. The game is amazing. There was no reason to make this game online only other than to sell skins and get a lot of money without any kind of shame to shamelessly get money with an online only game that should have been offline, should have been Orcs Must Die 3 offline. And yes, pretty much this is Orcs Must Die 3, the original one. Completely playable offline. Right now, I have a launcher pretty similar to the MOBAs. See how I need to showcase this game because see how 99% of the online-only games that you see can actually be played offline. That's why I want to do a reverse engineered showcase for all of these games. Um, this game didn't even need to be reverse engineered. You only needed to, the community only needed to create a launcher and pretty much uh, launch that would allow you to play the game. The community just need to create the interface to launch the different maps of the game. That tells us that 99% of the actions in the client of this game, in everything of the game engine and everything, weren't on this server. They were part of the game. This game could have easily been an offline game. You just need the interface to launch each map without the database of the server. You just need to launch the map. It's not like an MMORPG, which every action is on the server as well, and that's why they are pretty difficult to recreate. But this game should have been offline, and fortunately that's the case nowadays, because this is a completely preserved version. It's a reverse engineered version. An online-only game that was fortunately saved forever thanks to the community. Highly recommended. It's Source Must Die. It's amazing. You can play in a group, I think with LAN connection or something. Could be. If I remember correctly, I played alone. So it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, Orcs Must Die Unchained can be reverse engineered and played completely offline. A pretty unique version that I have here. Once again, piercing through the limits of imagination with the reverse engineering of all of these games. Well, Orcs Must Die Unchained failed miserably. The servers were shut down. Not enough money. That's what happens when you try to go full online only. The same story that we told some days ago happened to Torchlight Frontiers, which ended up being Torchlight 3. There's a problem with the number 3 and online only games now that I think of it. After a lot of years, fortunately, we had, of course, Orcs Must Die Unchained, the reverse engineered version. We had Orcs Must Die 2, but fortunately, this game is a miracle. That's why I played it on stream. That's why I showcased it. This game is an absolute miracle. This could, thanks to Google, this one we owe it to Google, I must say. We owe this one to Google because it was thanks to the launch of Google Stadia. With the launch of Google Stadia, that now defunct, it also died. It was an online-only console that would use the cloud to play games without buying the physical games or anything. I am glad that it failed miserably, just like any online-only consoles, like the first model of the Xbox One. But then they removed it at launch, I believe. After the backlash, of course. And well, yeah, pretty much. I am happy that all online-only consoles are failing miserably. That should be illegal, but well, stupidity isn't illegal, sadly. But well, with the launch of Google Stadia, that weird online-only console that failed miserably has been shut down. The servers have been shut down recently. They needed an exclusive game, and they chose Robot Entertainment and gave them the money to create Orcs Must Die 3. Interesting, right? They didn't have the money to create this game. The franchise was pretty much dead with Orcs Must Die 2 and Orcs Must Die Unchained, which was also dead, so yeah, it was dead at Orcs Must Die 2. But fate didn't want it that way, and we got Orcs Must Die 3. The most modern and perfect incarnation of Orcs Must Die, with a lot of variations, elements, a storyline. This is a AAA game. It was founded by Google, as you can imagine, and for the launch of their main console that failed miserably. It was exclusive of Google Stadia. It was a Google Stadia exclusive for a year, for a whole year, but then it was fortunately released on PC at least. And I think also consoles, but the PC is the main version, pretty much. It got updated, it got expansions. This game, I showcased it on stream. Pretty much this one is the best tower defense ever created, because it's the perfected formula of the first Orcs Must Die and Orcs Must Die 2 and Orcs Must Die Unchained. I just hope we get Orcs Must Die 4. The Orcs Must Die franchise needs to be eternal. It needs to be everlasting. It needs to be immortal. Use whichever adjective you'd like, but this franchise cannot die, because this franchise is the emblem of the tower defense genre. For me, this specific franchise is immensely important, and it has no comparison whatsoever with any other tower defense ever created. And this third entry is probably the perfection. It's absolute perfection. This one is a game that I would qualify with 1,000 out of 10, just so you have an idea. I'm not exaggerating. Get the Orcs Must Die franchise entirely. Reverse engineer Orcs Must Die Unchained, because it's actually Orcs Must Die 3, and this one is actually Orcs Must Die 4. And well, pretty much. Other third-person tower defense games, which don't get to the quality of Orcs Must Die, but are excellent recommendations, are Iron Brigade, also on the Xbox 360, because this one is from the 7th generation. If you like kind of like World War II aesthetics rather than fantasy and orcs, this one was made for you. And the other competitor of the Orcs Must Die series, let's say, Dungeon Defenders. This one is a classic. You need to play it as well. And recently, they released an online-only version, just like Orcs Must Die Unchained. They didn't fail so miserably, but they decided to create the next game as offline, fortunately. Dungeon Defenders Awoken. So yeah, pretty much. This is the only competitor that gets a bit close to Orcs Must Die, which is Dungeon Defenders. But I think none get even close to Orcs Must Die. You have to play all of these games. You need to play them all. Sanctum 2, a bit lower in quality in comparison to Dungeon Defenders, Iron Brigade, and Orcs Must Die. The same could be said about Toy Soldiers. These are all from the Xbox 360 era, which is the era in which the genre was revived a bit. As I said, if you like the Iron Brigade, you'll probably love Toy Soldiers, because of the aesthetic. Yeah, you can see that I used that pretty interesting cover that resembles toys and yeah, pretty much images from yeah, it would be the 60s, the 40s, something like that. Kind of like old paper. Fortified, well, this one, if you like aliens from the 60s, this one was made for you. If you like the aesthetics of, I don't know, Devo XCOM Declassified that we showcased here, which is a third-person shooter, you'll probably love it. If you like, which was the other one? Destroy All Humans, 60s aesthetics, you'll love 45. Classic 60s aesthetics, with the aliens and the flying saucers, you'll love 45. These are all third-person tower defense games. Much more modern, we have Hell Warders. Haven't tried it. It's a modern third-person. I don't know if it's third-person or different. Google it, because I'm not sure about this one. I am honest in that sense. I'm not sure about this one. And this one is like Borderlands. First-person cel-shaded graphics. Rack Exoverse. If you like Borderlands with tower defense, Borderlands mixed with tower defense, hello, this one was made for you. Say hello to Rack Exoverse because it was definitely made for you. Amazing game. This one is a pretty good game. It's like playing Borderlands in a tower defense environment. Pretty much, there's no other way to look at it. Pretty good, pretty good. Don't underestimate this one. I would say this one was a pleasant surprise. I love this genre, and it certainly deserves much more praise. The tower defense genre. Third-person tower defense, as I've said, players must die. I will never get tired of repeating it. It's the best tower defense ever created, and it's well worth it. Everyone should play Orcs Must Die. Everyone. Now, this is something that I need to showcase. We changed the genre. This is it for the tower defense genre. Exactly an hour. My God, so exact. Yes, that was the tower defense genre. We explored everything: classic tower defense, inverted tower defense, as well as third-person tower defense games. I highly recommend the tower defense genre to all of you who like the RTS genre, precisely, or the MOBA genre. You'll feel right at home because the mechanics are pretty similar. We get to card games, people. I know you won't find Hearthstone here because it's online only, and that's a no-no from me. I cannot stand it. It should be illegal to sell online-only games, even if they are freemium. With those microtransactions, sorry, it goes against the core values of my spirit. It goes against all of my principles. Online-only games. So yeah, you must be wondering, if that's the case, why do you have an online-only game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? You are wrong. Because this is a reversed engineered version, just like Orcs Must Die Unchained here, that is completely playable offline. The same case applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Now, as you know, I'm an old school and long time Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan. I've played Forbidden Memories. I've watched the whole anime, yes, the 200 chapters. I have my real life deck with classic cards. I just don't use modern cards, but I know their effects. Just not the ones that have been released in the past 3 years, not the meta, let's say. But up until Pendulum, it's difficult to keep up to date. Well, what's this version? What's this? This is a reverse engineered version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Playable completely offline and portable. It's a mod that you apply on top of the Steam version of this game. It's free. The Steam version is free. You download the Steam version, which is free, and you apply the mod. Once you do that, you can play offline. Of course, you shouldn't try to bring your offline things to the online version, because you will be banned. That's not the idea here. The idea here is that I play this version completely offline. Because I don't care about playing against people. Because the version that I have here, I haven't updated it. You must be wondering why. Why would you do that? That's just stupid. They've added some new maps and some new cards. And yes, but in case you haven't noticed, the artificial intelligence in this game, and this is why this game is so important, and the reason why I would have given it the Game of the Year 2022, or rest in peace, Takahashi-san, because he died the very same year this was released, after 20 years of not having any modern PC Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Rest in peace. This version has the best artificial intelligence I've seen in any Yu-Gi-Oh! Virtual card game ever. That's why I want to showcase it. But then they nerfed it. Then Konami nerfed this version, this artificial intelligence, which I don't like. That's why I keep this version. Besides, I like the user interface, the OG user interface. It's not that I cannot update it, because the mod kind of like supports updated versions. But this one has the original artificial intelligence. Why is it so good? Because the artificial intelligence can not only look what you have in your hand, even if you haven't played your cards. I need to showcase this. I'll do a dedicated stream to this version. It can not only look at what you have in your hand before you play it, but it can also look at what you are about to draw from your whole deck, from the 40 cards of your deck, or 42 or 41. It can see through all of your deck, through all of your hand. It will know everything that you'll do. It will act accordingly in a pretty smart way. We are talking about, I don't know who programmed the original artificial intelligence of this game, but whoever did it, that person was way ahead of it. It must have been a brilliant developer, because the artificial intelligence here is the best I've ever seen. It's like beyond. It's better than playing against a human, because it can read your hand and your deck. And before you think about it, before you think, no, but that must have been done previously in any other Yu-Gi-Oh game. No, trust me, this one has the best artificial intelligence I've ever seen. This version, which is a non-updated version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. The other game that had a pretty amazing artificial intelligence is on the Nintendo 3DS. It's exclusive, and it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Sexal World Duel Carnival from 2011, which was the game that I used to play up until this version was released. Then, of course, we had the option of using Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Pro, which was community developed. By the resolutions of the images were shit. It didn't have any custom music. It wasn't an official Konami game. Not that I didn't like it. I used it for a lot of time, because I used World Duel Carnival. Is updated up until 2014, up until XYZ summons. But then from 2014 to 2022, we had to use Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Pro to test decks and everything. So this game is an absolute miracle that after 10 years or so, no, because yeah, pretty much. But not a lot of people had a 3DS with World Duel Carnival. The artificial intelligence in World Duel Carnival is the second best. I would rate them like that: Master Duel, World Duel Carnival on the 3DS, and then the rest of the DS games. No, sorry, the Tag Force games. How could I forget about them? No, it would be the World Duel Carnival on the 3DS and the Tag Force games. The Tag Force games are better than Duel Carnival in terms of story and everything, but Duel Carnival is the only fully updated, because Tag Force is kind of like from OG Yu-Gi-Oh! All the way to the third anime, to XD, to to Synchro Summons, so yeah, Tag Force. You want to use Tag Force in order to, because it encompasses from the original to all of the seasons, from the original to Synchro Summons. But beyond Synchro Summons, you will need World Duel Carnival for Sexal, and then beyond Sexal, you need Master Duel. That's pretty much the idea. Believe it or not, the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Games are portable. They are Tag Force 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Special Force. So yeah. I think the last one of the Tag Force series, it's updated, but at that point, the artificial intelligence in World Duel Carnival is amazing. It's amazing. We are talking about artificial intelligence that can see through your hand, but they can also somehow predict. Well, that's the thing. The Tag Force artificial intelligence is good. The World Duel Carnival is good. It can see through your hand, but they cannot see through your deck. They cannot see everything that you are gonna draw. This version of Master Duel, and as I've said, that's why this is so important. This one can see through your hand and your deck. That's why it's so amazing, because if you win in a duel against the artificial intelligence under those circumstances, you can verify that your deck can definitely win to that opponent in real life and everything, because it could see through your hand and your deck. Imagine if it could barely beat you. Sometimes it sometimes beats me, so imagine that. uh, because of the fact that it can see through your hand and your deck. Imagine uh, how it would be against a real life opponent that cannot see your hand and your deck. So it's a great way to test decks. You can have a lot of fans. You can create. This game is pretty much infinite because you can create decks um, for the PC to use, and it will use them in a pretty good way. It will know how to play those any deck pretty much under any circumstance, and that versatility makes this the definitive, the ultimate Yu-Gi-Oh incarnation on PC, which was something that we needed from for a lot of years, that we were demanding for a lot of years. Besides, the cards are in HD and everything in 4K. They look amazing. The definitive. This would have been my game of the year last year. Believe it or not, it would have been this one, and not because I'm an obsessed Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Because as you know, as you can see, I play a lot of games. I play a lot of other card games that you'll see. Of course, Yu-Gi-Oh is the best. I play a lot of Pokemon as well, that you could somehow argue that it's also kind of like a cult classic like Yu-Gi-Oh. So as you can see, I have a lot of variety, and I'm a fan of a lot of different franchises. So it's not that I'm completely focused on the meta of Yu-Gi-Oh, not like that. And even so, I have to say that Master Duel is probably the most important game of 2022. Definitely. Um, in case you haven't played Modern or Yu-Gi-Oh in general, is pretty complex in comparison to other card games, let's say. Especially Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, because you need to read all of the effects and everything. But the way I played is sometimes something that I'm going to showcase. This was a surprise, but well, I have my real deck from real life that I adjusted so it can beat modern decks, and you'll see how a deck from 2004, my deck is from 2004, my idea is to do an experiment and prove that this deck from 2004, my personal deck, can beat decks from 2014, 2015, 2020, pretty much. So the idea, you can grab deck recipes from the internet, inject them in this game. I inject them in this game and I test everything. So I have complete control, and it's amazing. It's amazing. This is Game of the Year 2022, without a doubt. We'll do a special showcase here. This is a reverse engineer version. As I've said, other games that you need to get: World Duel Carnival on the 3DS. It has a pretty good artificial intelligence, pretty well executed. There's also an English patched Yu-Gi-Oh game, but it's about the variation of using 3 cards, those speed duels now. The traditional is Yu-Gi-Oh! World Duel Carnival. It has pretty good artificial intelligence for a portable game. You'll just be restricted to 2014 rules, but some people like that, so yeah, I also like that. I think it's a sacrilege that we cannot draw in our first turn now. So, for example, when I play in real life, I don't follow that stupid rule. You You have to draw in your first turn. That's kind of like changing a sacred rule. You cannot do that. That is disgusting. But well, if you're looking, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh fans are want a classic experience rather than the prostitution that they've created nowadays. So Master Duel is extremely versatile, so you'll be able to explore everything. So it's not a problem for this game. Don't waste the opportunity to try the best artificial intelligence I've ever seen. I don't know if in the updated version they nerfed it, because I tried an updated version and it felt a bit stupid in comparison. It felt like it wasn't looking through your hand and your deck, but I can assure you this version can. So yeah, you'll see. I'll explain all of that once we do the special showcase. So, World Duel Carnival for Sexal, and for Yu-Gi-Oh! Sexal, and then the whole Tag 4 series on the PS Vita is mandatory. The whole Tag 4 series and World Duel Carnival, they are mandatory. And on the DS, if you have the 3DS, you have to play Nightmare Troubadour, Spirit Caller, and Over the Nexus. They are pretty good, but they are less important than the ones that I mentioned. The main series is Tag Force, then World Duel Carnival, and you end with this one. You end up with this one with Master Duel is the best incarnation. If you want to experience the original stories, play Tag Force first, and yeah, pretty much. I think the Yu-Gi-Oh TV series, the anime, is highly underrated. I think it's one of the best of all time. Uh, all of them. I think it has a lot of quality that is not recognized. The original, GX, 5D, everything. I like everything about them. Everything from the protagonists to everything. Especially, you need to watch the third season of GX, the Dimension World Saga that is beyond anything. That one is amazing. So yeah, but I know the entry level for this card game is pretty high. But well, that's the thing. But you can learn it. Come on, you're still young. Whoever is watching this, you're still young. You can still learn it. But well, that's the idea. Other what we had up until Master Duel came around was Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. This is a new addition that I couldn't showcase last year, so it's the main reason why I wanted to do a new showcase. Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Well, this one covers the Cybers saga with Link summons. I don't care about that. I think it was stupid. Everything about that was stupid. But well, I have it here. This is the latest version. Just know, don't get Legacy of the Duelist. Get Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution because it's the expansion. This is pretty much what we had up until Master Duel came around. But yeah, they are pixelated, the cards and those things. It's not. It's more like a mobile version than a fully fledged. This one was thought like it has an amazing soundtrack. Besides, it has an amazing soundtrack. This one, and this one was designed with PC 4K in mind, and this one is a mobile version. Disgusting in comparison, but well, it's still Yu-Gi-Oh, so yeah, it's not bad. Power of Destiny, bet you didn't expect this one. These are the classic OG Power of Chaos Yu-Gi-Oh games: The Passion, Kaiba the Revenge, and Yu-Gi the Destiny. This is probably one of my most played games back when I was a kid on PC on Windows 98. Probably the only PC Yu-Gi-Oh game for a lot of time. That's why there are a lot of mods for these three games that you can play with modern cards. That's why they are amazing. They were so perfectly done. They only play at 800 by 600, but they can be played on modern PCs. You can find versions of these games that can be played on modern PCs, and these are custom icons. These games are amazing. If you want the most OG classic experience of Yu-Gi-Oh, these were made for you. Um, you can transfer your deck between the three, automatically. They automatically detect it, so you can transfer the deck you build here to play against Kaiba, and the same against Joy. This one is the most complete version, the third one, the third expansion. And you can then add mods and transfer your deck and play. This was pretty much the other option we had up until Master Duel came around. But the problem with these ones is that the artificial intelligence is kind of like archaic, kind of like it's a bit more predictable, much more predictable than Master Duel. In the case of Master Duel, you need to be careful, especially this version that I'm going to showcase, because then they nerfed it. But yeah, the artificial intelligence is much more predictable here, and yeah, and since the amount of cards is also limited, you can guess, especially in this one, in the first one, these two somehow fix it because you'll be going up against different cards. But anyway, since the quantity of cards is limited and it's classic Yu-Gi-Oh, you'll be able to somehow predict the CPU's plans, right? So, but if you want the most classic experience, know that they are playable on PC, and you can add mods. You can add mods and play with modern cards. So I haven't done that, but I know it can be done. That's something that I need to do. Well, since Master Duel came around, I don't see a lot of purpose, because I am absolutely in love with the artificial intelligence of this game. I don't know if they nerfed it, as I've said later, but this version, I'm in love with the artificial intelligence. It has been able to beat me a lot of times, because it can see through my hand and my deck. Yeah, well, pretty much. Most of the times I win, but make no mistake. Magic the Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers, this is a huge pending debt from my past. Just like I said with GTA San Andreas. A pretty huge debt from my past. I haven't learned to play Magic the Gathering. Oh, so bad, so sad. Yes. I don't know how to play it, but with these games I hope I will learn. I bet they will have pretty good tutorials, they have pretty good graphics, and here I have Magic the Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. Here I pretty much, with these four, I will learn, I will hopefully learn, and at least I'll be able to play against the CPU. But yeah, as you can see, I am a Yu-Gi-Oh! There's this old school discussion. If you like either Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! I would be on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Side, 100%. Thronebreaker, Witcher Tales, well, those are the main two franchises of trading card games in the world, besides Pokemon TCG. I'm still working on that. I had an old school Pokemon TCG game, but it stopped working after one game. It would freeze. I actually tried to showcase it, but it didn't work. So yeah, pretty much it stopped working. I need to do something. It's Pokemon Plate version 2, which uses the classic decks, but well, I couldn't fix that game. That game needs a remake, for example. I don't think Nintendo is gonna ever do it. It's pretty much a Nintendo developed game on PC. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. I need to work on that one. On Pokemon Plate version 2, I need to fix it. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. Pretty much is playing Gwent, the minigame from The Witcher. Gwent Rogue Mage, this one is much more modern. People criticize this game, but it's Gwent. I don't think it can be that bad. This one is amazing, it has a story and everything. So these are all other options for card games. The Lord of the Rings adventure card game, another great example. I haven't played these ones because I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Most of the time. You can see that it's a pretty monopolistic genre. Ascension Chronicle of the God Slayer. This one, be careful. This one I've heard it's amazing. I've seen it in action. It's a real card game. This one, with everything, with the box and everything. This is an updated remastered version of the original, so it's amazing. This one I highly recommend it. I played it for a bit, but didn't get a lot into it. But it's amazing. Highly recommended. Ascension Chronicle of the God Slayer. Spell Sword, Cards Demon Tile, pretty much. Over Dungeon, Monster Train. This one as just like I highlighted Ascension Chronicle of the God Slayer, Monster Train is another highlight. It got updated several times. It was updated several times. Sorry. So yeah, pretty much highly recommend. Um, I don't I don't like roguelikes which have the kind of like those flash 2D graphics like Slay the Spire. I don't like them a lot. I'd rather play classic um, card games, and so that's why you won't find something like Slay the Spire here. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, as you can see, you also won't find Hearthstone here because it's online only, and I think that's a sacrilege. Here we have Cataclysm, Arcanium. I need to play all of these. Rogue Book. As far as I can tell, when I see Hearthstone clones, offline Hearthstone clones like these, I pretty much love them. I love card games, so as you can see here, they are all amazing. Tetris Effect. I don't know why I have this. Yeah, I grouped them here because they are mostly niche genre. This would be puzzle, the puzzle genre instead of card games. But yeah, they both involve strategy, so I have them grouped here. So this one would be puzzle. I should probably add a separator here, but I don't have enough room. Yeah, I have enough room. I should add a separator here eventually. Yes. These are puzzle games, but and yeah, Tetris Effect. You all know Tetris. Puyo Tetris. This one is the connected edition. Be sure to get the connected edition because it's the most updated version. It's the most modern version. Because they are also still selling Tetris Effect, I believe. Puyo Tetris, Puyo Tetris 2. A note about Tetris. This one is a crossover. You can mix Puyo and Tetris. On the Nintendo DS, there's a Tetris game, which is probably the best incarnation of Tetris on any handheld. Right, the PSP version of Tetris and the Nintendo DS version of Tetris. Get those. Don't get Tetris Axis from Ubisoft on the 3DS, or you can get Puyo Tetris, for example, on the 3DS or the PS Vita. They have English patches, so yeah. So yeah, pretty much. Or the Switch, you can get the Switch version. Yeah, the Puyo Tetris crossover is absolutely amazing. Luminous Remastered, the forgotten Luminous series from Sony. You can also play the PS3 version, the PSP, the PS Vita version. I have the PS Vita version, Electronic Symphony, and also the Supernova version of the PS3. They are all exclusives, so yeah. This one is kind of like a remastered version of the classics on the PSP, so pretty much. Oh, Angry Birds. Angry Birds. Believe it or not, these games are pretty tough. The first Angry Birds is pretty tough. If you want to get 3 stars, you'll have to perfectly calculate the shots. Trust me, it has nothing to do with modern mobile games. Kind of like banish from your head the idea, from your brain, the idea that these are casual games, because the first Angry Birds is not a casual game. It's pretty hardcore, pretty difficult to get 3 stars. You'll have the thing is that since the levels are short, you'll feel that you won't have to spend a lot of time to try to get the 3 stars. But if you take into account that this version is the most updated final version of the classic Angry Birds, incredibly, this is the original version from 2009, if I'm not mistaken, from the first iPhone, from the first Android, from the operating system, from iOS and Android, from the first iPhone. Believe it or not, this version works at 141 refresh rate, and and unlocked frame rates. Yes, believe it or not, it was pretty difficult to find this version because it was briefly available on PC, kind of like completely updated. Then it was removed. You can no longer get this on PC, so it's abandonware at this point, sadly. The Finnish studio Rovio Entertainment, that has been recently bought by Sega, incredibly, developed this legendary franchise. This franchise was inspired by another franchise called Castle Conqueror, which dates back from old Flash PC games. But I highly recommend Castle Conqueror 3D on the 3DS. It's exclusive to the 3DS, one of the most obscure games. And it's kind of like the original version of Angry Birds, but it has realistic graphics, it's medieval, you can play against the artificial intelligence. I know weird, the best game is Castle Conqueror 3D. But undeniably, Angry Birds, the classic Angry Birds, is it's amazing. It's pretty hard. You'll have a lot of difficulties. I play this game whenever I don't have a lot of time. I just fire up this version here. Angry Birds 2 is exclusive to Android, so I have it on Android, a reverse engineered offline version. And here I have this version of it. Angry Birds, the classic, but I like the classic version much more than 2. Because this one is pretty similar to Castle Conqueror 3D, as I've said. This is an important game in gaming history, believe it or not. I know that nowadays this franchise is associated with mobile games and casual mechanics, but it's unfair to kind of like consider the first Angry Birds a casual game, because it wasn't. Back in the day, these games were pretty hard, they were pretty tough, they had console-like quality, and they aren't casual games. Simply put, they aren't casual games. The Angry Birds franchise is amazing, especially the classic games like this one. This one only has kind of like 1,000 levels. It's the complete version. This one, it has all of the levels. It has more than 1,000 levels. So here you can spend the rest of your life, basically. Angry Birds Season, and I like the game in a classic way, kind of like I enjoy it when I have a hard time beating the levels with 3 stars. And in this game, this will happen a lot. Trust me, believe it or not. In this version, get this version, and you'll see what I mean. Angry Birds Seasons, same story. As you can see, I like the genre. Angry Birds Rio, Space, Star Wars, all of these have thousands of levels. They are the most updated versions. Angry Birds Star Wars 2, Space, Rio, and Bad Pig is pretty much. This is the complete. I got this as a pack, the complete Angry Birds collection pack. Pretty much, it's amazing. I think it's no longer available. So yeah, be sure to get the most updated versions, and you'll get thousands of levels. Especially, at least play the classic version. It's the one that I played. These ones I need to explore them, in fact. But yeah, I love the Angry Birds franchise, believe it or not. I think the classic Angry Birds game was pretty well executed. It's hard, so that's the idea. Believe it or not, it's not as hard as playing StarCraft against an advanced artificial intelligence or playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, but it will be a challenge. So trust me, you should at least play a bit of Angry Birds before dying. It's like not playing Call of Duty or not playing Need for Speed. They are classics. Or like not playing Mario Bros. Or Sonic the Hedgehog, the originals from the SNES. Or not playing Streets of Rage that we are going to get to right now. or not playing Battletoads. Battletoads, the remake. We get to the this is the beat 'em up genre. The beat 'em up genre. This genre was abandoned for a lot of years because this one is originally an arcade, a genre that originated in arcade machines. As I mentioned, run and gun games, shoot 'em ups, and beat 'em ups. These three genres originated in arcade machines rather than home consoles. So yeah, it's worth noting that these genres are shorter. Games of these genres are much shorter. They are divided into stages, and basically, beat 'em up. The beat 'em up genre is the predecessor of the hack and slash genre. It's like hack and slash in 2D for those of you who don't know. And while Battletoads is a hybrid solution, um, this one it's a hybrid solution because it includes different stages. Uh, this game is famous because the original Battletoads from the NES is one of the hardest games of all time. That was the idea. They wanted to make the game hard, so it would. It was a philosophy back then that since you couldn't buy a lot of games back in the 80s and the 90s, those the games that you picked, you had to make a pretty good choice. You couldn't make a bad decision, a terribly bad decision, because you would be stuck with that game for a lot of months. And yes, pretty much the first Battletoads is the game famously known for exacerbating that idea. It pretty much is the one that changed that philosophy because it was so hard, so incredibly hard that since you couldn't finish it, it didn't sell pretty well. So yes, pretty much that's the idea. It was so hard that people couldn't complete it, and most developers realized that it was an exaggeration. And yes, that's the idea. It was kind of like the opposite to Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Bros. The original Battletoads, you couldn't complete it. Most people cannot complete it. I completed Battletoads in Battlemaniacs from the Super Nintendo using save states. But I could complete it. So with save states nowadays, you can at least somehow have a chance at completing them after a lot of tries, especially the Turbo Lift level. So yeah, you have the NES version, the Super Nintendo version. You have the Game Boy version of Battletoads if you want something that you're actually able to complete. You also have a mysterious exclusive Game Boy game called Battletoads in Ragnarok World. You have my favorite Battletoads game of all time, which is the arcade machine, which you are actually able to complete, and it's actually a beat 'em up. That one I have it on the Xbox 360. As part of all the arcade machines like Cadillac and Dinosaurs, and those I have them on the Xbox 360. They play really, really well. And the controller is specially designed with the Xbox 360 controller is probably the best of all time because it adapts to both arcade and modern gaming. So I had that one there, developed by Electronic Arts. But then, of course, Rare acquired the license. Then Rare was acquired by Nintendo. Then it became independent. Then it was acquired by Microsoft. And under Microsoft's seal, Battletoads was revived. I don't know why a lot of people don't like the graphical style of this game. This game was bashed a lot for not being like classic Battletoads. Yes, it's not as good as the originals, but come on, we got a new Battletoads game. How can you argue against that? Because it's not as good as the originals. Yes, but the game has pretty good gameplay mechanics. It's just the graphical style that the community didn't like. I think that's not a critical mistake. Please try not to kill me. I think it's not a critical mistake. I think the game is pretty good. The gameplay mechanics are on point. They are polished. They are properly developed. Of course, as I'll repeat it once again, it's not as good as Battletoads in Battle Maniacs. It's not as good as the original Battletoads. It's certainly not as good as the arcade Battletoads, which is the only pure beat 'em up game. That's why I like it. I don't know why Battletoads they should turn it into a pure beat 'em up. But the mechanics of this game are on point. They are properly developed. The game plays pretty well. It has the original soundtrack remastered. No, 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 like that. Uh, and I don't know why people didn't like this version because of the graphics. That's not. Come on, that's not a reason. That's like not playing Age of Empires Online because it's cartoony. Come on. If the gameplay mechanics are on point, of course, complain about the graphics and the original art style and everything. Complain. But this game is not a game of 5 or 4. No, no. The gameplay mechanics are polished and pretty well executed. So I have to recommend the Battletoads remake. I don't know why people hate this game. Just don't say it publicly unless you want to be stoned or burned at the stake. Streets of Rage 4, I completed Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 on the highest difficulty by using Blaze and using the classic dash attack. Here in my Sega Genesis gaming library, I completed the original 3 Streets of Rage games, and here's a Streets of Rage 4. What could I say about this game? Remember to update this game if you have it on Steam like I do. Remember to update it because um, some days ago, it was updated with a pretty huge update, and you'll certainly enjoy the benefits of this updated version, right? So yeah. You'll definitely enjoy Streets of Rage 4, but remember to update it uh, because a week ago it was updated, I think, something like that, and after 2 years of the original release. So it's incredible the amount of work that Dotemu is doing with this game, or has done with this game, because they continuously updated it endlessly until they got a perfect formula, and it was perfect right when it was released. Pretty short games, the beat 'em up genre. They are generally short games, but they are pretty enjoyable and amazing. I mean, they are long. For example, Streets of Rage 4 is long in comparison to the classic games. So yeah, pretty much. Streets of Rage is a must play. It's just like Sonic the Hedgehog. You need to play it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection. A lot of people forget about this game because they remember Shredder's Revenge. The Cowabunga Collection has all of the classic games from the arcade machines and everything. This one has like 12 games, something like that. It's amazing. Get this version immediately. Get it immediately. Streets of Rage 4, these are all must plays. Battletoads, Streets of Rage 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection, Shredder's Revenge. It's incredible how this genre has revived modernly on PC. It's amazing. Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. Amazing game. It's a compilation of different games. I wanted to play Knights of the Round, basically. But yeah, you want to get this bundle, because it'll have a lot of classic Capcom games, arcade machines that you can play modernly. Capcom Arcade Stadium. This one has kind of like 40 arcade machines with a 3D modern graphic interface. Highly recommended for those nostalgics of for those of you who are nostalgic about arcade machines. I think I mentioned in the previous showcase that the one I play the most is Bubble Bobble. I always wanted to play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs on a real arcade machine, but I couldn't find it in my neighborhood, let's say, where I live. So yeah, A lot of people don't know about this one, so yeah, now I play them like this. And if it's not here, the pretty much Capcom Arcade Stadium 1 and 2. This one, not a lot of people know about that there was a sequel to Capcom Arcade Stadium. So you have here 40 and 40, you have kind of like 80 arcade machines. These are not only beat 'em ups, but as you can see, Capcom Arcade Stadium will it has you covered. Pretty much everything shoot 'em ups, everything is like entering the idea here is to enter a real uh, arcade machine shop like that, the real arcades. And my monitor has something interesting with all of these games that my monitor can be flipped vertically for shoot 'em ups. So amazing, amazing. I can play all of these in a pretty amazing way. I just flip my monitor like this, and it works perfectly. My monitor is certainly the best. I love it. And yes, Capcom Arcade Stadium here. It's absolutely completely amazing because here I have a compilation of 40 plus 40 would be 80 arcade machines. They grab from all genres. So Windjammers 2, a modern recent re-release. Never played this series, but I've heard it's amazing and I've seen it in action. It's a modern incarnation of Pong. So yeah, amazing, but with a lot of flashy and amazing graphics. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I've seen it, and it's completely amazing. Dungeons and Dragons: Chronicles of Mystara, a classic. A classic. I think it's included in the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle or something like that. I'm sure that one is included because it's extremely famous. But yeah. These are all classic 2D arcade machine uh, beat 'em ups. The same could be said about Fight and Rage, though this is an indie release, a modern indie release. But if you're looking for something like Streets of Rage, Fight and Rage, as you can see, they even copied part of the title, is if you liked Streets of Rage 4, you'll love this one. It was developed by an indie studio, and it's a modern entry in the beat 'em up genre. Like, you'll love it. It's an indie. Shank. Well, this one was developed by Electronic Arts during the 7th generation, for the Xbox Live Arcade of the Xbox 360, a pretty famous game of that service. All the games that I'm going to showcase from now on, Shank 1, Shank 2, and the rest, they are kind of like modern indie releases of beat 'em up games. Up until all of these remakes were released modernly, nowadays, these were the games that kind of like kept the genre alive. Shank 2, these are modern beat 'em ups made by Electronic Arts during the 7th generation for the Xbox Live Arcade service. Sacred Citadel is a Brazilian game, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty much another modern beat 'em up. Zeros, another example. Dungeon Punks, Viking Squad, Wolverblade, Moonfall Ultimate. These are all modern indie beat 'em up games that I haven't played, but I've seen and I love them. I need few images to see if a game is good or not, if I will like it or not. I'm an expert at this point in evaluating my personal tastes, because I know if it's a beat 'em up, if it's in 2D, yeah, I'll probably like it. Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn. This one is kind of like a remaster of a classic game that I would never experience, but it was pretty good. The Takeover, pretty similar to Streets of Rage, pretty much. Gekido Kintaro's Revenge. This was a Game Boy Advance exclusive. This one I know it because it was on the Game Boy Advance. It stopped being exclusive after 20 years. What a sacrilege! I hate it when that happens. But yes, just like the Castlevania Advance collection and Mega Man Zero X collection, Gekido ceased to be a GBA exclusive, and now we can play it on PC. Shing, same story. Nine Monkeys of Shaolin. This one is extremely modern, pretty amazing graphics. I've seen a bit more of this one. Pretty amazing beat 'em up. Mayhem Brawler. This one is the same. Similar to Streets of Rage, as you can see. I think this one is 2D graphics, and yeah, pretty much another modern incarnation of Streets of Rage. They're all amazing beat 'em ups. Aeon Must Die. This one is by Focus Home Interactive, the French developer that I praised so much in this showcase. This game is amazing. This one uses a different system. This one is doesn't have any depth in terms of beat 'em up. In kind of like not that it doesn't have complex gameplay mechanics. In fact, it has the most complex gameplay mechanics. I mean, it's completely 2D. There's no depth in the environment. Kind of like in Streets of Rage, if you pull the joystick up, it will go to kind of like the background of the level, and it will come to the foreground if you pull the joystick down. This one, no. This one is completely 2D. There's no depth in the foreground and background, but it has an amazing story. It's a AAA at this point, a AAA beat 'em up. Amazing. It has a guard system that you can kind of like have orange and blue, and you need to use both styles because then it can over rev or something like that. If you fail the red bar, you lose your guard. Your guard is broken. Sorry. The same for blue. It has a complex system. Highly recommended. Eon Must Die. Highly recommended. Eon Must Die. An amazing game and the modern incarnation of the beat 'em up genre that you definitely need to play. Also, fans of the fighting genre will enjoy this one. Highly recommended. I cannot stress it enough. Eon Must Die. It's ironic how all games that end up with Must Die, like Orcs Must Die and Eon Must Die, they are always amazing. So you know, in the developers use Must Die in the title for extra luck. So highly recommended. Amazing game. 10 out of 10. Legend of Mana is a remake of a classic game that is a beat 'em up. Here I pretty much have it because it's in 2D and you fight. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, pretty much the Mana series. This one is in 2D. It's a side scroller. It's not like the classic Mana series like isometric similar to the Legend of Zelda. No. This one is it's something completely different. That's the idea. Okay. The shoot 'em up genre. The shoot 'em up genre. Believe it or not, on PC there are a lot of shoot 'em up games that have been re-released or remastered. Unfortunately, we can play them. The ones that you don't see here, I have them on my Xbox 360 as an arcade machine. I mostly have them repeated here. I have copies of them because they're the same game, the one on my Xbox 360 and these ones. But these ones are the Steam versions. Strikers 1945, one of my favorite games of all time. I played the original arcade machine at least twice or 3 times back when I was a child. I love this game. It's pretty much a must play. Everyone must play this game at some point in their lives. Strikers 1945 2, Strikers 1945 3. These are all custom icons made by me. The original icons are pixelated and disgusting. The Strikers series, they are must play games. I kind of like can turn my monitor and play them in a perfect way. Dragon Blaze, classic. Gunbird 1, classic. Gunbird 2, classic. Anger Force, classic as well. Amazing shoot 'em up games. They're all amazing shoot 'em up games, but Strikers 1945, you have to play the entire series. You have to play them. Anger Force, I love the shoot 'em up genre, as you can see. As I said, because I can flip my monitor and play them kind of like vertically. Anger Force, the ones that you don't see here, I have them on my Xbox 360, not only because of the arcade machines, because things like Galuda 2, they are only available on the Xbox 360 or the arcade machine. It's a pretty weird genre because most games are on arcade machines and they are never re-released outside of them. But well, the ones that do, it's always fortunate that we have them. Anger Force, Raiden 4, Raiden 5, and then I have the Raiden Aces collection on the Xbox 360, so I'm covered because that one pretty much involves Raiden 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. And here I have 4, 5, R-Type Final 2. This one, believe it or not, it's a modern release. The R-Type Final series has been revived thanks to R-Type Final 2. R-Type Dimension 6. This is a compilation of classic R-Type games. You'll pretty much have everything here, everything that you need. R-Type 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I should have placed this one here, so they are in order. Oh well. Jamestown Plus. Remember to get the Plus edition here. Be careful because you can also get the Classic edition. Get the Plus edition, Jamestown Plus. Crimson Clover World Ignition. Be careful because this one was recently updated with a new expansion and a new game, and it's pretty much amazing. This one is considered one of the best shoot 'em ups of all time, especially on PC. It's a legendary game. You'll pretty much love it. Steel Empire, classic. Skyforce Reloaded, get the reloaded version. This one is a modern game with 3D graphics, amazing. You need to play the Skyforce Anniversary Edition, the Reloaded Edition. I don't remember. You need to play Skyforce. You need to play Cinemora X as well. These 3 are classics: Steel Empire, Skyforce, and Cinemora X from the 7th generation. These are modern. These are modern games from the 7th generation in 3D. Right? So they are different when compared to the classics here that are. Though, for example, Raiden 5 and Raiden 4, they are kind of like in 3D. But these ones are in 2D, for example. The same for Strikers. Alright, then we have Super Hydora. This game, it's a bit difficult to make it run on PC properly. Be careful if you have G-Sync, because I had a lot of issues. I have to deactivate G-Sync for this game. It has a problem, it has a nasty 60 FPS lock. But yeah, it's completely playable. Just be careful if you have a G-Sync monitor. Until I found the solution, I wasted a whole day. Just so you know, Super Hydora, it's an amazing game. I think it was a Spanish developer, Loco Malito, also responsible for Vostok Inc. and other games, if I'm not mistaken. He has developed some other games. And yeah, Super Hydora, most people play this on their PS Vita, but there was a PC version, so it wasn't exclusive. And there was also a PS4 version. So yeah, pretty much the version works. You just shouldn't activate G-Sync. That's the idea. Escatos or Chatos, amazing classic. You also need to play it. Stormwind X, you can also play it on the Xbox 360, but the X version is better here. Darius Burst Chronicle Savior, here so you can get the names. So you can get the names in case you're interested. Ghostblade, I haven't tried any of these. Powerumi, this one is a classic. If I remember correctly which one we are talking about, yes. Jet and Guns 2, I never found the first one. I wonder if there's the first one. Probably it's an old game that has nothing to do with this one. Cloud Cutter, a modern release, amazing, with pretty amazing graphics. And then this one is a pretty interesting case because this one was developed by Platinum Games. Before the release of Bayonetta 3, they released Sol Cresta alongside the exclusive Switch game that they released before Bayonetta 3, I don't remember. The one in which you're a police officer and those, well, whatever. Yeah. Platinum Games developed Sol Cresta, the Switch exclusive that is extremely popular, that I don't remember right now. So many games to remember. Sol Cresta, developed by Platinum Games. I am curious about this one, I need to try it, and it's pretty much the last one. So yeah, there you have it. The shoot 'em up genre, the beat 'em up genre. puzzle genre, because at the end of the day, Angry Birds and Puyo Puyo Tetris, and Tetris is puzzle. Card, trading card, digital trading card genre, third person tower defense, inverted tower defense, and tower defense. They are all grouped there. I have here all of the games that are simply more. First of all, here I have the arcade section. So here I have run and gun games that we showcased last time. Here I have beat 'em ups, and here I have shoot 'em ups. This is pretty much the most arcade section. This is like the home console section, as I've said, racing, action adventure like Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed there, fighting here. These games are meant to be played with a controller most of the time, except for card games. But yes, you can see shoot 'em up with a controller, beat 'em up here, run and gun, 2D platforming, 3D platforming. These are all the console, home console games and the arcade machine games. Here I have 3 third-person shooters, as I've said, twin-stick shooters. This row is arguably also console, but I like to play third-person shooters with a mouse. So yeah, basically I have them split between the 3 rows that are meant to be played with a controller and the ones that are meant to be played with mouse and keyboard, pretty much, except for twin-stick shooters here. Here we can see that there are some that they are mixed a bit, but yeah, pretty much RPG, RTS, first-person shooters here as we showcased, and we covered everything, people. That's the last row. Now we get to the special row that I couldn't properly describe last year. The 4th generation, my Sega Genesis gaming library. I won't say anything else about what this is. I'll just say that this is an icon that takes me to my Sega Genesis gaming library, in which I can play Sega Genesis games. Sega Genesis gaming library, I can play with with the CRT filters. I don't do it most of the time. Modern resolutions. Pretty much that's all I can say. I don't want any troubles, so that's all I can say. I can play at modern resolutions. 1980 by 1440 is a resolution I can play at. I can use CRT filters and everything. The games run perfectly. Here I played Sonic 1, 2, and 3 long ago. Here I played Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 long ago. Sonic 3, it includes Sonic and Knuckles, and here I played pretty much all of my Sega Genesis games. Super Nintendo gaming library, I couldn't, once again, this is the 4th generation of gaming consoles, pretty much the biggest war in the history of, the biggest console war in the history of video games. As I've said, remember always, the history of gaming that you need to consider is always this. Generation 1, 2, and 3, they are not relevant nowadays. The 3rd generation is the first and the 2nd generation are not important. The 3rd one is the important one because in the US, the console market was about to collapse. The NES, Nintendo, saved the industry with Super Mario Brothers. It revived the console market with the NES, but not only that, they won the trial against Universal Studios. It's a pretty famous court case that in which Universal Studios basically accused Nintendo of copying King Kong when they released the original Mario Brothers arcade with Donkey Kong instead of King Kong. And they pretty much wanted to have the monopoly of monkeys grabbing damsels in distress on top of a building. Pretty much, Universal wanted to say that, and that's the court case that gave independence to the gaming industry. So the 3rd generation was, it was pretty much the big bang of gaming, not the first one. It was actually the 3rd one. With the NES, then the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis to kind of like surpass the NES. Then the Super Nintendo, right here, 4th generation, Sega Genesis against Super Nintendo, a legendary confrontation, the most iconic confrontation of gaming history. I have it here. Here I played Super Metroid, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the first time. Super Mario Kart, F-Zero, the original F-Zero, Kirby Dreamland 3, because the first one and the second one are on the Game Boy. They are on the Game Boy. I don't know. I have thousands of games. Thousands. I don't know. I think what about that? What am I saying? Here I have like 80 games, and here I have pretty much like 40, because I don't include modern re-releases. Kind of like only exclusives that haven't been re-released. I have here that are forgotten, completely forgotten. For example, for the Super Nintendo, Actorizer was recently re-released here. So when that is re-released, I simply uh, don't include Actorizer in my collection. I erase it from my collection. So Super Nintendo, I delete it from my collection. Sega Genesis, fourth generation, the fourth generation, amazing. These are these custom icons. You have no idea how much time it took me to find them, because they need to be exact pixel perfect proportions to kind of like be big enough with a transparent background, because otherwise they'll look extremely shrunk. So yeah, pretty much Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Between both of them, Super Nintendo is better, in my humble opinion. Super Mario World, of course, I also played here. Pretty tough game, pretty good. I have a USB SNES joystick, a knockoff Chinese copy, but it works perfectly. So I play with that, or I play with my Xbox One joystick. It depends how I feel. If you want to go full retro or not. So yeah, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Dreamcast gaming library. This one is the red, another. I cannot say it, but it's an amazing way to play Sega Dreamcast games. It's an amazing game to play Sega Dreamcast games. 100% compatibility except for the most modern releases, because Dreamcast games, believe it or not, they are still being released. And yes, here I mainly play Metropolis Street Racer. Because it's the precursor of Project Gotham Racing on the original Xbox, and of Forza Motorsport and Horizon on the Xbox 360 and PC. So yeah, but there are also a lot of incredible games here, exclusive games that you definitely need to try, especially racing games. Like Daytona, the original Daytona USA. Here it has a pretty amazing version that plays perfectly with a controller. I don't know why people don't like that version, because it's amazing. So yeah, pretty much Sega Dreamcast. Here I have kind of like 80 games in this gaming library. I have kind of like 40, and here 40 as well. More or less, the Super Nintendo is unbeatable. That's for sure. Sega Dreamcast. We're talking about the 6th generation. I don't care about the 5th generation. Believe it or not, it was my debut generation, my OG generation. As I always say, my first console was actually Windows 98, but then a Game Boy Color, and then the PlayStation, the first PlayStation, the PS1, legendary, of course, but I don't like the 5th generation in general. Either the PlayStation 1, the Nintendo 64, the Sega Saturn. I think it was the weakest generation. It was a prototype generation for 3D gaming. It was a huge leap forward. It was a huge leap, but I don't like. I think there's a reason why most modern remakes are from the 5th generation. It didn't age well. Because that jump from 2D to 3D, it was a prototype. It was a prototype pretty much, and yeah. I'd rather go for a much more conservative approach of 2D gaming than right here on the Super Nintendo than 3D gaming not properly developed. I think 3D gaming properly developed the gameplay mechanics of of its games during the 6th generation rather than the 5th. That's my an extremely personal take on it. So yes, pretty much, I would give it to the sixth generation as the proper 3D generation rather than the fifth generation. So that's why I had the Sega Dreamcast here, because this one was shortly released after the Sega Saturn, and it's from 2001, and it's between the fifth generation and the sixth generation, though it belongs to the sixth generation chronologically, with the GameCube, the Xbox, and the PS2. But yeah, for me, the sixth generation is amazing. It's amazing. The sixth and the seventh generations, I think the degree of polish is much higher than the fifth generation. The fifth generation was kind of like, look, it's a 3D game. It's in 3D rather than 2D. That's a surprise. That's a huge surprise, and it was a huge surprise indeed. But the gameplay mechanics were clearly affected by that new technology. Sega Model 3 is an arcade machine in which I play Scud Race, the one that I showcase. In case you're interested, I recorded the 60 laps endurance Scud Race. Scud Race is amazing. Top 1 arcade racing game of all time, alongside Outrun 2 Coast to Coast. I wouldn't be able to choose between Outrun 2 and Scud Race. They're both amazing. Here I have all modern Sega arcades. Yes, that's possible. I mainly have this one for a pretty obscure game called Storm G. It's a racing game similar to Ridge Racer. It's amazing. It's an arcade, sadly an arcade. An HD arcade. These are HD arcades that work at 720p, something like that, or 1080p. And I have it for Storm G. Look up Storm G, and you'll see that it's an amazing game. And yeah, pretty. And also Daytona USA 3 Championship. So yes, pretty much here I use it for Daytona USA 3 Championship, but basically Storm G. I love Storm G. Amazing game. I love the aesthetics, everything, and here I can play it in a pretty easy way. There are no arcade machines where I live, so it's the only way I can basically play this game. It's not. It's restricted to an exclusive arcade machine. You need to buy an arcade machine of I don't know. What was they're extremely expensive. $5,000, $8,000. I don't know, whatever, or $2,000, whatever. They're worth it. So yeah. Here I can, instead of traveling abroad and finding a Storm G machine, I have it here. Storm G is amazing, and I love that. Hey, look at that! My first game of all time. I've showcased in the first, I think in one of them, in one of the series, I showcased my first game of all time. That I have it right there. I still have the CD. This is my first game of all time, Supercomputer Animal Racing Simulator. It's a Mario Kart clone, pretty tough, much more difficult. They're animals in a supercomputer simulation. I originally played this game in Windows 98, that's why I have it there right at the center, because this game is responsible for me discovering video games. And I can tell you it was made by Ubisoft. And I can tell you that it's an excellent Mario Kart clone. Not only a clone, it's its own thing. It's an amazing game, pretty hard, the courses are extremely hard, and whoever makes a modern incarnation of this game will probably become millionaire. Because everyone follows the Mario Kart formula, but if they follow the mechanics of the... If they follow the mechanics of this racing game, because the weapons are completely different, and the physics and everything, they're completely different. They are heavier than Mario Kart. And besides, it mixes some RPG mechanics, because some cars are much more resistant, others have more grip. It's a unique game. I think it's a game that, if released modernly as a remake by Ubisoft or any indie developer that that copies its formula will probably become a millionaire because the game is amazing. It will probably be addressed that theoretical indie game would probably be addressed as a successor of Mario Kart in a better way because it's completely different the gameplay mechanics. And yes, pretty much the first game I've ever played, so you can imagine how special this game must be for me. Someday I need to showcase it. In this case, this one is running on a Nintendo 64. This one would be the Nintendo 64 gaming library, let's say. And yes. This is, I just have it for scars. Yes, pretty much. The first game I've ever played has a special place in my heart. Gran Turismo 4, pretty much no fucking way to. Sony should release a modern HD compilation of Gran Turismo 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because 5 it can be played on the PS3. But up to 4, or at least release Gran Turismo 4 Remastered or something like that, that would sell like hot dogs. It would sell pretty well. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, another one of my childhood games. You must be wondering why do I have them separated like this? If they work under the same architecture, let's say. If they belong to the same library, the PS2. Well, because the settings are completely different and I don't want to change them, so I made a copy of everything and yeah, pretty much. I made a copy of everything and I play them separately because they need to use different settings. Both of them amazing. I played this one as a child with the steering wheel on my PS2 that I have up here. And yep, yeah, pretty hard and long game, amazing. Pretty much the king of that era before Forza Motorsport. The natural evolution of Gran Turismo 4 in terms of physics ended up being Forza Motorsport because it's the one that evolved the physics. So yeah, pretty much. Revenge of the Sith. Like God of War, I've showcased. You have a complete walkthrough of this game on my channel. It's because it's amazing. Because it's completely amazing. So yeah, pretty much you want to play Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. It's like playing God of War. Episode 3 is one of my favorite movies of all time, so you can imagine. Nintendo Wii and GameCube gaming libraries. I'm about to get an adapter, a GameCube adapter for PC, for my joystick, and so I can play Smash Brothers under the best circumstances, because up until now I played with the Xbox One joystick and it's not the same. But yeah, we're talking about things like Pokemon Colosseum, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Sadly, I cannot show you this one. I cannot show you any of these. So yes, I cannot show you the interfaces. I cannot do it. But yeah, so just so you know, this one it combines two libraries. Also, it has this one. I got the patch, Metroid Prime, Super Smash Brothers. This one, it has so many F-Zero GX, Pokemon Pokepark and Pokepark Wii. Yeah, Pokepark Wii 1 and 2, Rogue Squadron. It would be endless. Lightsaber duels, Star Wars: The Clone Wars lightsaber duels on the Wii. I have my original Wii remote, and now I'm working on. I'm about to get an adapter for the GameCube, so yeah, pretty much here. And I have all of the accessories for the Wii, the classic controller, everything. I use classic, and I even have a sensor bar that connects to the USB. So with this, I can pretty much play everything on HD. I also have the Wii Motion Plus, for example, for Skyward Sword. Though I will end up getting the Switch version probably, so I can free up some space. And yeah, pretty much GameCube. This one is the biggest one. This one has kind of like 98, 100 titles. here. The Wii was a special console for me. It's not a casual console, believe it or not. It, it has casual games, but it's not a casual console because while yes, it appealed to casual people like grandparents, and it told them that they could do exercise and everything with it. It also had an amazing library. We're talking about the Metroid Prime trilogy, Mad World, for example, if you want something gore. Um, the Wii was amazing. It was a revolution, and there's a good reason why people still play the Wii. So yeah, pretty much. Instead of using my Wii that I have up here, immaculate, just like my PS2, all of my consoles, you would believe that they have never been taken out of the box because of how clean and new they look. But yeah, I used my Wii a lot. I played a lot of Wii Sports. I still have the original game, which I've I've heard it's worth a lot of money. The original Wii Sports, like kind of like the one that came bundled with the Nintendo Wii, kind of like with the original package. I have it, believe it or not. And yes, I have all of this up here in up above my head. You cannot see it, but well, uh, I have my Wii up here, and yeah, my Wii is amazing, and I play with my original, with my OG wire remote, and now I'll get an adapter for my GameCube controller, and I'll be all set. The thing is that I'm running out of room as to where to place my joysticks here on my desk, because I have the 3DS, the stylus, the cradle, kind of like the charger, the PS Vita with a custom dock, not a charging dock, but a dock that I can place it there. The Xbox One joystick, the Xbox 360, the PS4 joystick that I use for the PS3, an old school LCD game from the 80s, one of the first that I played. And then I have the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color up there. I don't use them. I use the 3DS at this point, but they still work. I can assure you, they still work. Every now and then, I just put a cartridge and I verify if they work with my Pokemon Yellow cartridge. I just turn them on. It still works after 30 years. It still works after 20 years. Sorry, 25. It still works. Well, I turn it off. I grab the 3DS. I'm surprised that they still work. They were like bricks. But well, going back to the Nintendo Wii and GameCube gaming libraries, I just need an adapter for my GameCube joystick to play Smash Bros. Melee. Yeah, pretty much that's the only thing that I'm lacking because I already have the wire remote that I can connect. I have the sensor bar that I can connect to PC to my PC, and I have the nunchuck, the original that my nunchuck. So yeah, pretty much I have everything to play to play Wii games here with modern widescreen resolutions and patches and everything. So they look amazing. A Nintendo Wii U gaming library. Well, here's where I play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where I am going to play it. I've already tested it and played it a bit, the first level, and basically this is Breath of the Wild. Here, I have it. I played all of the main Legend of Zelda games: Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, then Twilight Princess HD here, then also the other one, the Wind Waker HD here as well. So yes, I've already completed all mainline 3D Zelda games. I've also completed A Link to the Past here with my SNES joystick. So yes, pretty much, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Ironically, in a couple of days, Tears of the Kingdom will be released. But well, I wanted to play all of the mainline 3D Zelda games before playing that one. I think that's mandatory. That's something a lot of people don't do, and I think it's a sacrilege. Skyward Sword, I'll play it here, but I think it's not as important as Breath of the Wild because of the weird joystick and the 30 FPS cap. But yeah, here I also have a profile that I can play with the Xbox One joystick, which is pretty comfortable as well. And I have the Motion Plus accessory, so I can play Skyward Sword there. And Nintendo, and here I also have Mario 3D World, the rest of the games that you dump from the original uh, CDs, and in the case of the Switch, well, this is the Wii U, the CDs, and you place them here, and you can play them basically. Uh, that's basically the idea. Grabbing the original box, you easily dump the the game. You place it here, and basically you can play them. Basically, you can play them at modern resolutions and frame rates, which is what everyone is demanding right now. That Nintendo games on the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U, they run at pretty terrible frame rates and resolutions, right? So pretty much that's the idea behind this. To play all of those games that you would normally have, uh, that you would normally be forced to play on the original hardware at terrible frame rates and resolutions, like play them as to play them properly because they deserve to be played in all of their glory in 4K and everything. Especially Breath of the Wild. I played a bit of it, as I've said. I haven't started playing it, but I played the first level. I explored a bit. I tested that everything worked correctly, and while testing, you have to play it. I did some temples and some sanctuaries, and yeah, it's a far too important game to play it on the Wii U or the Nintendo Switch. So you just simply buy a copy, you dump it, you dump the game's content, and you play it like this. And it's completely amazing. It's completely amazing, completely amazing in 4K. The same for the Nintendo Switch. The same for the Nintendo Switch. I have to change the icon here, but I cannot find any with the proper proportions. So yeah, basically you just always remember to buy the original games, buy the original game, and when you buy the original game, of course you have the right to dump the contents and do whatever you want with your copy. And yeah, pretty much this is a Nintendo Switch. This one is extremely important because it has Diablo 3. It's the best offline version of Diablo 3. Though it was reverse engineered on PC, but I don't like that version. And you also have the other one is the Xbox 360 version, the Ultimate Reaper edition. But you also have it here. There are some issues with Diablo 3, but I basically use this one for Diablo 3, this gaming library. And the rest, of course, Mario Odyssey, Metroid Dread, all of the modern Switch games. I buy them, and then I simply dump the content, and I play it under the best conditions. So yeah, pretty much. Even if I don't have a Switch, as you know, I don't have a Switch, but I buy the games. I buy the games and I dump them, and I place them there. So yeah, pretty much. And I play them with the best possible, at the best possible quality. And right here I have my movies. you don't need to know about this one. Anyways, they are all just cartoon movies, as you're wondering. Like the classic, not all of them are cartoon movies. I'm not gonna show them to you, but because there's my real name in the folder. But basically, the Star Wars trilogy, both trilogies, not the disgusting disaster that J.J. Abrams and Disney released, but yeah, pretty much as you can see, these are the best way to play Nintendo consoles, pretty much. Uh, if you have the original games, you simply dump them. You can play them here at the best resolution and frame rate. It's your copy, so it's your own right to play them however you like. So, for example, playing Breath of the Wild at 720p at 30 FPS, sorry, but it's a disaster. That game will probably be remastered soon enough, but well, I don't think it'll ever get close to the Wii U version of this gaming, the Wii U gaming library version here. So no, not at all. So well, ladies and gentlemen, we covered everything. The special row, um, shoot 'em up games, beat 'em up games, puzzle, card games, as well as tower defense. So we covered everything. Sadly, this was the last part of the showcase. Hope you enjoyed the whole showcase. Pretty much, this is the definitive experience that I have. I have everything on my PC, as you can see. Besides my PC, what do I have? Here, my 3DS that you all know by now. My 3DS. I have my 3DS, my PS Vita here. I have PS3. I have my PS3 and my Xbox 360, and with those, and with this, and my Android collection, also my phone. So yeah, basically I have 3 portable consoles and 3 home consoles, basically. Well, the first one and the main hub is the PC. It's not a console, that is kind of like the center of the universe. The PS3, the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 is backwards compatible with the original Xbox. The only game that I sadly couldn't play is Midtown Madness 3. You will probably see it here soon enough because they are working on recreating or a way to play it modernly. And you will also probably see Destiny 1 because it's been reverse engineered on the PS3 emulator on PC. But well, I mainly have my PS3, in which I have 50 exclusive games, 50 PS3 exclusives. I play with my PS4 joystick, thanks to modding. Also, there are some exclusive digital PS3 games that we don't get into a lot of detail. Once I get a capture card, I will cover this eventually if my channel is ever successful. For now, it's not. So yeah. The Xbox 360. The Xbox 360, I have on the PS3 I have 50 plus 10 more. It would be 60. The Xbox 360, we're talking about 200. The 3DS, we're talking about 450. The 3DS is kind of like the best console I have, besides my PC. And in the case of the PS Vita, 200 and 100 and something, close to the Xbox 360. So because it also includes the PSP. The PS Vita has a PSP inside, just like this. But the 3DS is the complete legacy of Nintendo handheld consoles, all-in-one 3DS, DSi, DS, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, normal Game Boy, Game & Watch. The 3DS is kind of like 6 consoles in one. I did the Ultimate 3DS Showcase, so you can watch that and you'll see the glory of the 3DS. No console comes even close to a 3DS. No handheld or home console from the 7th generation, at least we could say about the PS2 that I have there. I would say the PS2 and the Wii are on par. That if we begin to scratch, but I consider that I only get exclusive games on all of those, on all consoles. Then all of the ones that aren't exclusive, you can see them here. Pretty much all genres, everything that isn't exclusive, I have it here on PC. I exclusively use consoles for exclusive games. So yeah, things that haven't been released on PC for me. So yeah, things like Dante's Inferno on the PS3 and the 360, Little Big Planet, Forza, Gears of War, Too Human, I don't know, Perfect Dark, Zero, Banjo Kazooie, Nuts and Balls, Infamous in the case of the PS3, the Prince of Persia trilogy, the Sly Cooper trilogy, God of War, the PS3. So yeah, pretty much there you have the idea. And then I have my phone. My phone has, believe it or not, the legacy of Android games is past, and it's not what you see nowadays. Back in the early 2000s, we had a lot of quality releases. Nowadays, up until 2012. After 2012, everything went to shit in terms of Android games. But yeah, from 2008 to 2012, we got the best the best Android games that will ever be released. No bullshit, no microtransaction bullshit, no nothing console-like quality. So I'm also proud of my Android collection, believe it or not. So yeah, as you can see, and I have 80 games on my Android collection, 450 on my 3DS, and 170, 180, close to 200 on the PS Vita. So I have plenty. I have 3 portable consoles, my PC, and the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And as you can see here, the GameCube and the Wii are also in here. The Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, I play my games like that. And here I have the 4th generation. So as you can see, I covered all generations. 4th generation, the 5th generation, all of its games have been remastered. Think about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. So basically that's the idea. It's a 100% digital collection because I don't have a lot of room in my... Well, I live in a huge flat. My room precisely is small, so I don't have a lot of room to store the games, kind of like in shelves. So I simply, when I buy them, I have to store them, and yeah, basically then I get digital versions of them. And I play them under the best conditions. Pretty much that's the idea, because I don't have the physical room. I simply store them, but I don't have the physical room to display them like that. So yeah, as you can see, I covered everything. 4th generation, 5th generation, as I've said, between the 3DS remakes and things like PC remakes like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. Here I have everything that I want from the 5th generation. 6th generation, we're talking about some scarce exclusive PS2 games, and as for the rest, the GameCube here, and then, as I've said, the Xbox 360 is backwards compatible with the original Xbox, so the rest is covered there between the GameCube and the original Xbox. And then the PS2, yeah, I need to find a way to play some exclusives like God Hand, Maximo, Army of Sin, those, and yeah, some scarce PS2 games like Champions of Norath. And yeah. And I need to find a way, because I'm not gonna play my original PS4 at 480p. So yeah, except for those scarce exclusive PS2 games, I have the rest pretty much covered. And in the 7th generation, I have the Xbox 360, the PS3, and I have my Wii up here. I think the 7th generation was the best of all time, because the budget was extremely increased, the polish of the games was increased, and everything, and we saw a lot of incredible genres. 7th generation, I have Xbox 360, PS3, the Wii. I also have the Wii here. I have the 3DS, I have the PS Vita, I have the PSP, because the PS Vita has a built-in PSP. The 3DS pretty much covers all handheld Nintendo platforms, so 3DS, DS, DSi, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and original Game Boy and Game & Watch. So the 3DS covers everything. With the 3DS and the PS Vita, you are pretty much covered with backwards, in terms of backwards compatibility. So we will just be left with the 8th generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Xbox One games have been re-released on PC, as I've said. Sunset Overdrive, Record, Quantum Break here, Forza, So there's no point in getting an Xbox at all. You can even play Halo, the complete collection here, Halo Infinite. So there's no point at all. Uh, except you like to play Forza Motorsport 5 and 6, which I don't. No, 6 is on PC. Except you want to play the fifth entry, which was a disaster with microtransactions, or Halo 5. I think is the only other exclusive game. A shame. The Xbox One was a shame. Rise Son of Rome, even everything. So you don't need an Xbox One. PS4, it has some exclusive games, but even so, the most important ones have been also released on PC. So the 8th generation, I think it was a tragedy. For example, you are with only things like Drive Club or few scarce PS4 games from the dawn of the PS4, kind of like at the beginning, are still exclusive, and they are kind of like secondary. The main games, as you can see here, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War 4, Marvel Spider-Man. Even we now get even PS5 games like Sackboy: A Big Adventure here. We got Uncharted 4 on PC, so I honestly don't see a point of getting a PS4 or a PS5 or an Xbox or the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X or whatever, other than the joysticks. The joysticks, yes, you need them. Um, yeah, pretty much. The joysticks are the only useful thing about modern consoles. That's what I think. Get a PC. The PC, as you could see, can go from arcade machines to consoles to everything with the best settings, and also a 3DS. I would say a 3DS is mandatory because DS games cannot be recreated properly with the dual screen, and maybe a Wii as well. And yes, I said the console from the sixth and the seventh generation maybe, and yeah, then we get to the Switch. As I've said, I have it there. Uh, you just buy the original games, you dump your copy, and it's extremely easy. Dumping a copy, how much time can it take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you are playing under the best circumstances. You can even update them, so once your original copy is updated, you just update them. So yeah, pretty much. Um, and I think we covered everything. The Xbox Series X, no exclusives. PS5, no exclusives. Everything is on PC. So yeah, for me, consoles are pretty much dead since the 8th generation when Xbox started launching exclusives on PC. You could think that it's a pretty conservative view, but trust me, in countries that don't have a pretty good economy, we pretty much don't waste our money. And if the console doesn't have exclusives, uh, I have no reason to buy the console. I just need to buy the game and dump it on PC. So no reason. I buy digitally. I buy them digitally. I just buy them digitally and I dump them. It's extremely easy. It's extremely easy. Uh, there's no reason to get the hardware if everything is digital now. So yeah, pretty much that's what I say. It's the perfect combination. I cannot imagine buying an Xbox One at launch and then realizing that all of the exclusives are being released on PC. I would feel stupid, honestly. That's the reason why you buy a console is because of the exclusives, be it the Xbox 360, the Nintendo 3DS, the PS3. They all had thousands upon thousands of exclusives. The 3DS has over 400 exclusives if we count the backwards compatibility with the DS and the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy. So yes, the PS Vita has a lot of exclusives. I don't know why the PS Vita didn't sell well, honestly, because there weren't any first party games, but it's a PSP. When you buy a PS Vita, just think that you're buying an enhanced PSP. A PSP with 50 more games, or 20 or 30 or 50 more exclusive games on the PS Vita. Just think that you are buying a PSP. I never had a PSP, so for me it was a no-brainer. So yeah, pretty much, as you can see, I have all of the exclusives of kind of like distributed among my 4 consoles. As I've said, the few scarce exclusives that I need to get are from the 6th generation, and there's probably an easy way to do it. It's just that I haven't explored it. Are basically Maximo Army of Sin, Maximo and Maximo 2, God Hand, some scarce PS2 exclusives, as you can see, and of course Midtown Madness 3. That one I need to get it. The Midtown Madness, Midtown Madness 3. So only 4 out in all of the history of video games with this combination that I do: a PC, a beefy PC, 3DS, PS Vita, PS3, and Xbox 360, all of them modded, and an Android phone, which basically all of you have, or most of the population of the world has in modern countries. You pretty much can play all games in history, all of them, all of them. A PS5 not needed, PS4 not needed, except you want to play Drive Club and some other scarce secondary exclusives. I don't know, Matterfall. There are some scarce twin stick shooters as well. Alienation. But I cannot think of AAA games. Infamous Second Son, for example. Infamous Second Son. Yeah, there's one. There's one that certainly deserves to be re-released on PC. I don't know. But well, if in 10 years time Infamous Second Son is not re-released, maybe I will consider getting a PS4. But I'll get it extremely cheap at that point. So yeah, pretty much. If I ever get a PS4, it will be for. I have them marked: Infamous Second Son, Knack 1 and 2, I think. Not important, but well, they are exclusive. Drive Club, Gran Turismo Sport, because it was offline patched. And I cannot think about a lot of games because they have been re-released on PC. So yeah, pretty much there you have the idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like The Last of Us, in case you're wondering. It was released on, but even that was released on PC. It's just that I don't care. I played the original. I think it's a game of 6, no more than 6, 7 if you're generous. I completed it on the hardest difficulty without even being noticed. Even during the last level, I played it like a pure stealth game without engaging in combat ever. So yes, pretty much, I finished it, and it's a game of 6, 7, no more. And yeah, pretty much, I deleted it from my PS3 because I thought it was terrible. And yeah, as you can see, I have access to all games in gaming history like this. Right? Pretty amazing. Except for Midtown Madness 3. And God Hand and some scarce PS2 games. Because I want them to be perfect. All of the games that you see here, they are kind of like in this row, they are kind of like perfect versions. I don't care about half-assed versions. I want them to be perfect, and they are still not perfect. There, so also Champions of Norath, for example. But as you can see, I can even. It's less than 10 games in all history that I cannot properly get, because then we're talking about extremely weird cases. Like we would need to get to crazy old. Even the Pokemini. You can play Pokemini games on the 3DS. We will need to get to things like the Atari Lynx and Game Gear and extremely scarce and old consoles, Atari 400, the 400, the Atari 2600 or 7200, something like this, that I'm not honestly not interested, or a PC Engine or something like that. Extremely scarce consoles that are probably also playable like this on PC, but I mainly focus on the main story of Nintendo, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Xbox through the modern PC releases like Rise of Rome here, and Sega. As you can see, more like a vintage collection. So yeah, pretty much like the vintage consoles, like the retro consoles, like from the 4th generation or the 6th generation there. As you can see, I have access to all games in history, except for Midtown Madness 3. And yes, pretty much, that one will probably be playable soon enough. Destiny 1 is another case. It's another case that has been recently saved, fortunately. I'll need that one. And yes, pretty much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed my showcase. We covered all genres, from RPG to tower defense. So I hope you enjoyed my collection. It's an all digital collection. As I've said, I have no room to display the cartridges, so I have all of them stored there, the original cartridges, and I simply have all digital, offline. And in case my hard drive fails, I have this reference here, as you can see. And even though I have copies of the most important, of the most difficult ones, for example, the MOBAs, the MMORPGs, just in case you've been watching this series and you wonder, but this guy, once his hard drive fails, what is he gonna do? Well, easy. I grab these bolts over at YouTube, and I also have a written reference, and I simply re-download them. Basically, some will be a bit harder to find than others, but I will be able to replicate 100% of it, pretty much. So yeah, I also try not to stress the hard drive a lot, so it has also a fan right on it, so it should always be refreshed. And I have a UPS too for the electricity, so it's pretty well protected. Even if it fails, because eventually, supposedly all hard drives eventually fail, I'll have this visual reference over at YouTube, uploaded to the internet to know where to place the things and everything. And well, anyways, if that happens, I'll have the rest of my consoles, so I won't be left with nothing. But yeah, I try to preserve my hard drive as much as I can, so I don't have to reinstall all of this, because it would be impossible. Because kind of like, but yeah, I would simply grab Steam and download them once again, and yeah, pretty much download them once again and cut them off from Steam. They are simply cut off from Steam, so they don't need to update or anything. They work pretty much amazing, old school style. I re-download them from Steam, and that's it, pretty much. Yeah, and here I have a visual reference how to organize them. I would simply need to buy a new hard drive, or I can rescue the data and work something out. So yeah, it's pretty well protected. As you can imagine, I cannot back up all of these because this is distributed among 3 hard drives. So yeah, pretty much two actually two. The third one is for the movies. Yes, I have one filled with movies. So yeah, pretty much that's pretty much the distribution. So yeah, I would simply get into my Steam account and re-download them, and here I have the visual reference how to organize them and cut them off from the internet, so they are completely reverse engineered. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. Don't worry, the special cases like Heroes of a Storm or my World of Warcraft server, I do have a backup. I have a backup of the most important ones, of the ones that I know that I won't be able to find. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. Hope you enjoyed my collection. Don't worry, it's safe. It should be safe. But well, let's hope it lasts eternally, and that this is a testament to. It took me 10 years to assemble this amazing collection among all of my consoles and this. So yeah, I hope this is a testament of the true spirit of the gaming industry. Not playing Fortnite all day, not playing brain dead multiplayer games all day. So yeah, pretty much here you have. If you watch my showcase, you'll have a pretty good, a much better idea than 99% of the people of the history of video games, and you'll know a lot about them, and it's encompassed in less than 10 hours. Well, I want to believe it. Maybe a bit more. 20 hours. In 3 days, in a week, you can watch all of my showcases. So yeah, pretty much, you have the complete history of video games, ladies and gentlemen. My pleasure sharing all of this with you. And on Tuesday, we will resume London 2038 and we'll get to the next analysis. We need to do the twin stick shooter boss rush. I need to showcase a game pretty special to me. And yeah, we also need to do the offline MOBA showcase, the MMORPG offline showcase. I want to showcase the Warlock atop Fire Mountain. A lot of games, a lot of games. We have plenty of games to showcase. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. Hope you enjoyed the showcase. Hope it was educational in some way. And thanks from the bottom of my heart to anyone who may have taken the time to watch this as a YouTube VOD or a Twitch VOD from the bottom of my heart. Thanks to all of my Twitch followers and, of course, YouTube subscribers from the bottom of my heart. Thanks, you always encourage me to continue showcasing all of these amazing games. So, have a great weekend and see you all on Tuesday. We'll resume the game. So yeah, pretty much. We'll resume the game. And the analysis will be back. So, see you all on Tuesday. Bye bye.